Yo, so the opinions and views expressed in this podcast are that of our own and the future Bachelor podcast only, and not affiliated with any outside party or entity or anything like that. This fun podcast, though, may include some adult language.
Future Bachelor podcast.
Why don't we do some stuff that we like to do around here? I don't know. I do know. It's that time to talk about Bachelor stuff on our show. Yes, but before we get to that stuff that we like to talk about, YouTube, why don't you go ahead, subscribe, slash that thumbs up button, hit that notification bell so you can get notified every time we drop new Bachelor content just like this. And if you just did, huge shout out to you. Ooh, air horns for ya.
The ooey for me. It's so silly.
I like that. You should add that to the end of it every time. It's the ooey for me.
All right, well, we'll see.
Maybe that's your little slogan for that. But yeah. Anyways, V, what's going on in Bachelor Nation? Is there much?
It's dry. We're waiting for July pretty much at this point.
That's
Susie
a long
and
haul. It's a long haul until July.
I know, it is a long haul, and we still don't really know when Bachelor in Paradise would be. We would have guessed, like, if Bachelorette season's going to come out July 11th, Bachelor in Paradise probably won't air until, like, end of August or so.
Yeah, I mean, when does it usually, how long does Bachelor in Paradise last?
Like, airing wise, like, I think it's like maybe 6 weeks of episodes, but it kind of depends because last year was weird because of, like, they kind of, like, shoved it in between stuff, and they, like, had, those, like, 2 episodes per week. It just kind of, it's all been shifted around, so I don't know. I mean, it's usually, I think, a shorter season than a typical, like, Bachelorette. But it would potentially be based on, like, if it's going to be after the Bachelorette season, it wouldn't be airing until, like, late August or, I mean, probably even later than that, like early September. So it would be interesting to see. So I'm guessing, if anything, folks would be going to the beach probably in, like, the next month or so, or next 2 months, I would think. Just because, like,
nice.
Because I would think that they have to, like, they're probably going to grab some of the women from, I guess some of the men from Rachael and Gabby's seasons, but we don't know. So yeah. I think that time, because there's been a little more pictures eking out from that being filmed, because I think they've been in a couple other, like, random places for the filming of the double Bachelorette season. But nothing, I mean, I feel like they're trying to keep it pretty locked up. And I try not to look for any spoilers, so I'm not, like, really out here looking for, who's looking like a front runner or anything when I don't know anything about these dudes yet for Gabby and Rachael. But Susie and Clayton made their way to Virginia. Virginia's for lovers.
Okay. I like it.
Good for them. They're just so cheesy online, to be honest. Like, I'm just like, okay. Like, we get it.
Yeah, they might be overcompensating, though, for
they're
just,
definitely, like, well, because Clayton just posted a big post earlier this week being all like, at this time, like, however many months ago, like, Susie snapped this picture of me because I knew, like, after the final rose was coming out, and I knew what I was going to have to face, and, like, blah, 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 blah. And now I've been through therapy, and I've done all this and that. And he, like, ended the post, like, with #mental health. And I'm like, you know what? Okay. Like, I'm proud of you, Clayton. You've worked through some stuff. Keep going to therapy. Keep learning. Keep being great in that way. But, like, to me, it just feels like it feels cheesy. It just feels cheesy. And I feel like that's hard. It's hard to judge because, like, obviously it's been put into a position where it's hard to not look cheesy.
Yeah.
But
I think it's one of those things too where it's like, it kind of sucks. It's like, you were just the Bachelor, you ended up picking someone, you know, and now you guys just want to be happy and like ride that out. But the more you kind of like try to show that you're happy, the more people are going to try to like burn you down. So it's like, just go and disappear if you're really that happy, right?
Right. Like, yeah, you don't need to be like doing these like video, like your stories and stuff, being all like, Virginia's for lovers. Ha, this is Susie's raunchy sense of humor, because she's like half twerking in front of the like love sign in Virginia. Like, I'm like, okay. So raunchy, Clayton. Ooh.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know though. Like, what are they supposed to, do they have real jobs, or what's the deal here?
So she is a wedding like videographer, photographer. Okay. So like they actually, I think, were just somewhere for a job of hers. Like, I think they went to, I think, one of her friends and stuff. Like, similarly, I have a friend that's a wedding photographer, Amber Garrett. She's great. And like she's done several of like our friends' weddings and stuff because she does great work. So I think she had a friend's wedding that she had to go do, that they were just at, because they were somewhere. Where were they? They were in Columbus, Ohio. That's where they were. Because I was like, oh, I know.
I think it's one of those things too, where like once you're on a show like this, everyone that knows you and knows that you do that is gonna want you at their wedding doing their photography. So I think like business would probably be good in that sense. You know, being a DJ that, you know, people, or a photographer, it's one of those things too, where like,
I mean, but a photographer, you disappear in the background. DJ, like you're kind of like, you MC a wedding, you know, you kind of like are doing more. Like a photographer or a videographer, you're supposed to be so like, you're not supposed to be like noticeable.
Yeah, but you kind of have to get in there sometimes, and just having like a high profile person. But what I was going to say is that like, it's one of those things where like, until you have a job that deals with being in weddings, like it's funny because like I used to get asked a lot more than I do recently, but to like DJ people's weddings of people that I would like think I would be going to the wedding for, like, you know, it's like
they're like, instead of giving you an invitation, we'll pay you to be there.
Yeah, and to play music and stuff, and I'm like, you know, sometimes you want to be like, you know,
you want to be a guest.
Yeah,
you want to have fun.
Exactly. You don't want to have to work every time you go to a wedding, but I don't know. These days, maybe I would reconsider that, maybe. But yeah. So that's good. And what does Clayton do?
I mean, he used to be like in software sales or something in Columbia, Missouri, or insurance sales or something.
A little different. I don't know if being on an influencer or something like that really helps with software sales. Like, yeah, I was the Bachelor. Do you want to buy this? Okay, let's go.
I don't know.
Well, that's what's up. Well, I'm happy for them.
Yeah.
Anything else happening?
There's some of the girls are getting out of their contracts from when they were on Matt James's season. Mm-hmm. There's obviously still some things they can't like reveal based on just like sort
Speaking
of
Matt James, he's like gonna have a book coming out, it looks like, soon.
Yeah, I've
been seeing him promoting that with his girl.
Yeah, he does have a book coming out. Or is out or something. Yeah, he's been promoting it with Rachael.
Yeah.
All these like Bachelor Nation folks like just keep writing like memoirs, and I'm like, okay, you're like what, 30 max?
Yeah, but like I feel like there is an audience out there of people that would buy the book just to read it.
There's for sure an audience. Like I am interested more. Like I know like Andy Dorfman and stuff did more of like a tell-all kind of reveal kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I'm into. I don't really, to be honest, like I don't need to see the whole like blah 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 like.
But you have to admit, this is kind of the same thing. This is like the evolution of that same thing.
I mean, I enjoy learning if like they're a lead that I was really interested in. Like there's definitely there's different contestants or leads or whatever that like I kind of follow up on. Like Becca from Ari's season, she's one of my favorite Instagram follows. I like following her. I like seeing her life with her kids and her boyfriend. I like just knowing a little bit more about her as a person besides just who she was. But like, you know.
Why do you think that is? You're talking about baby Becca?
I liked her a lot when she was on the show. I just related to her. She's like a year or so younger than me.
She was kind of like I used to think it was like kind of an act, but she was kind of an old soul. Like, you know, she was kind of classic. She came out, she looked like a real life, like Betty Boop or something like that.
Yeah. And I just love her kids. I think her kids are adorable. And I just like kind of like her lifestyle. I just like
what I like about her as well. And this is all just kind of coming to me now. I never really thought about it, but what I do like about her now is like, you don't like, as much as like there's like Bachelor Nation people out there like trying to be in Bachelor Nation and be with where all the other, like being in the popular crowd at Bachelor Nation. She's like, I would say popular in Bachelor Nation, but she's not out there with like the other contestants and stuff. Like she might have some
but she's still like super close. Like the girls from that season are probably some of the better groups of women, I would say, that came from the show. Like I just feel like a lot of them were really close and like they ended up being like good friends and stuff like that. And she's still super close like with all of them, but like she also, you know, has made fun of like different aspects, and she's also just been real about like who she was when she was on the show and like just like kind of some of the, you know, some of that kind of stuff. I just think she's, you know, interesting, and she kind of got in there a little bit as the bubble was starting to burst of like it becoming like such a big influencer thing where like everybody, I think like she kind of got in right as then afterwards people started to really all become influencers. I feel like prior to like right when we started doing this podcast or like even talking about it was when being an influencer was like just like that's why, you know.
It is true because remember talking about this, like there was not much we'd be able to talk about off season, like, you know, like Ari, like we're not talking about his social media TikToks and presence. Like before that it was like Chris Soules, like, you know, he was in the news. He was like getting arrested DUI,
for like drive-bys and stuff. Yeah.
And then you know, and then it just I think started coming out. I wonder what season it started coming
because
out.
Honestly it was like you had to do a book. It's so like to bring it all back, you kind of had to do a book to have some sort of like notoriety, or like date somebody a celeb level up or two, to have some sort of notoriety like after the show, or
at least to have some type of platform to tell your version of what happened. Nowadays you could just get online and just say it.
You could
get it on your podcast or whatever.
You could do because half of them have podcasts now, or you could do, you know, an Ask Me Anything Instagram Live, which Chelsea Vaughn from Matt's season did. And so she did like pretty much like a 30-minute live where she went over some questions that people had. And I mean, I think it was interesting because like she, you know, wasn't like a huge character on Matt's season, but like she's run with a lot of the girls that are a little even more well known afterwards. And she made an appearance on Bachelor in Paradise, and she was just already like living in New York City, a model. She already sort of like had that vibe, and then like, you know, add that element of like Bachelor life into it. But she talked about how, you know, she doesn't regret going on the show. She does like have a little bit of regrets of like, she's like, Bachelor in Paradise didn't add anything to my life for me. She's like, I definitely felt like in moments I felt wrapped up in the moment to like try to be in love or try to have feelings for like Aaron or Ivan or whatever. She's like, and I don't really know if like those were real. And she's like, you know, it just wasn't like, she's like, I felt like I barely had a voice on that show. And but I think it was interesting because she talked about, you know, did she forgive Rachael Kirkconnell like after all that stuff blew up? And she gave her side. She's like, I also grew up in Georgia. I also applied to like the school that Rachael ended up going to. Like, she's like, to say, you know, like I wasn't surprised to see like those pictures or those things and whatever come out. She's like, she's like, not to say that it makes it right. She's like, but like, she's like, as a black woman who grew up in Georgia, like I knew that that's just kind of like, that's the shitty reality of it. And she's like, you know, obviously I was close with Rachael. So we had our own personal conversations about things, whatever. And then we stayed close. She's like, I'm a loyal friend. I'm not going to just ditch her for whatever. So I just thought that was a interesting perspective. And I'm just interested to see if more of these, you know, people coming out of their contracts are going to try to do more with like that information, because people are, I mean, I'm always interested to understand more about the behind the scenes. And she even talked about
that should be that one of these ones, like what's her name, the one that's been talking over the last couple, Tammy, she should start her own podcast talking about, once the contract's over, getting the people that just finished their contracts on the show. Instead of the people that just were on the show, she gets the people that just get the contracts, like their contracts are done, now they can talk about whatever they want. That would be kind of cool. And I think that would be a big deal.
Yeah, I think like having like, the whole idea of being like contracts up, like that could definitely, I think that would be cool, because there's definitely like, there's definitely shit that they can't say, but I think it was interesting learning from Chelsea how she viewed,
they
how
could
some
call
of
it
the,
after the contract.
after the contract, that's good. She viewed, the producers, because she understood like what their role was. She viewed them different. Like some of the girls would come out of like their, confessional interviews and stuff and say like, oh my God, it was like therapy. I told them everything. And she's like, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I'm way more guarded. She's like, I understand that these producers are going to like be friendly and act like our friends, because like they're trying to get our guards down and they're trying to make us more comfortable to act a certain way.
That's cool. I guess a couple loosies I wanted to kind of throw up to you, see what your thoughts are. Did you see that like clip of Victoria Fuller going around from one of the podcasts? She was just talking about like men not bringing it and stuff. And
I think so. I feel like I saw like a TikTok or something that she did along the same vein.
Essentially, she just like, men need to step up, like, it was just like, she's kind of like, she's definitely full of herself, no pun intended. I mean, essentially, I think it's all kind of leading to rumors that she might be in Paradise this year. So
she might be. I mean, I could see her going back to, I mean, she stays in the Bachelor like Nation incest, like, because she was on Peter's season, right?
Yeah.
And then she ended up dating Chris Soules for a bit, and then I think she like hangs out with some of those people, and I could definitely see her going onto Paradise.
Now that her like fame is fading a little bit,
yeah, she's like, oh shit, I gotta stay relevant.
Yeah, she's like the Kim Kardashian of Bachelor Nation.
Now we just need a sex tape, I guess.
Ooh. But yeah, another one was, I guess Matt James was on Ben Higgins' pod, and he was like kind of checked out. So people are wondering, is Ben okay? Have you heard any rumblings of Ben Higgins being sad?
No. I mean, isn't he he got married not too long ago? I thought he was like just vibing. I thought, he was...
Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe it's just one of those things where maybe he's zoned out on a podcast. Sometimes we do it,
Right.
It's just week after this. And then, I was seeing some rumors of Kelly Flanagan dating Blake, possibly. They're seeing. I don't know.
Blake who?
What's her name's Blake? The Blake that wants to be on The Bachelor so much. Not Balake, but Claire's Blake. And, and Taisha's Blake, yeah. So yeah, he's making his rounds.
Katie Thurston's Blake.
And now Kelly's Blake. So yeah, I mean, he's a lot of people's Blakes. He's not my Blake though. My Blake is Balake.
Not my Blake either.
Balake is my Blake. But yeah, so those are just
an interesting combo.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it working. I mean, she dated Peter, so.
Yeah, yikes.
But yeah, anyway, so that's all we got for Bachelor Nation news. Guys, let us know in the comments what you think about any of these topics. We'd love to hear from you, because maybe we have some follow-up comments to talk about next week for Bachelor Nation news. You know what I'm saying?
Future Bachelor Podcast.